Hi, my name is Samson and I talk about Canadian politics here on my channel. And today I'm going to be talking about Bill C-11. Now, what is Bill C-11? So, Bill C-11 is a bill that was originally called the Online Streaming Act, but is now called an act to amend the Broadcasting Act and to make related consequential amendments to other acts. Quite the mouthful, right? Now, Bill C-11 is something that I've been talking about for a very long time, including on my TikTok account, where I've been talking about it at least since March of 2023. So ignore the bag in the back, it's full of fabric. I'm a sewer. I first heard about this bill when I came across a misinformation video made by Call Me Chris. Now, Call Me Chris is a Canadian creator who I've talked about in my previous video, so if you're interested in learning more about who Call Me Chris is, definitely go check out that one because she's been running into some controversies lately. So, Bill C-11 is a bill that is under the regulatory body called the CRTC, or the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission. Now, you might be asking, what does the CRTC do? Well, it regulates Canada's radio, television, and telecommunications, as well as our internet now, which is actually what Bill C-11 was originally created for. So, back in the day, I mean way back in the day, in 1991 is the last time the CRTC has updated its regulatory body. 1991. That's before I was even born, and I'm old as fuck. So if we go over to the Government of Canada's questions and answers about the Online Streaming Act page, we'll see all of these big questions regarding Bill C-11. Now, before this page was a thing, there was another page that was under the CRTC that was a facts and fictions page, which had facts that looked like this on it. However, the page has been removed, and whenever you go to the link, it gives you a 404 error. So now we only have this page for what is true and what is false about Bill C-11. And as you can see here, it mentions the last major reform to the Broadcasting Act was in 1991. Crazy, crazy. That is over 30 years ago. That is like 34 years ago. Jesus. It's so long ago. Now, sorry, my guinea pigs are being crazy. Now, before Bill C-11, there was Bill C-10, which was basically the exact same thing, except it didn't pass, and because it didn't pass, we ended up with Bill C-11, which has passed. Now, if we scroll down and ignore this one, and we go straight here, this is question number 7, which is this bill about censoring Canadians? Something that a lot of people were spreading misinformation on. I remember even after calling out a couple bigger creators, including Call Me Chris, like I mentioned before, and Chazanian and JJ, about the misinformation that they were posting in regards to Bill C-11. A lot of people were saying that this bill, including them, was about censoring Canadians, which it's not. So again, is this bill about censoring Canadians? First sentence, no. The Online Streaming Act is about ensuring that Canadian music and stories are given a fair chance of being discovered. This bill is about further promoting Canadian culture expression in the digital environment, not inhibiting it. This law will not control what Canadians can or cannot see online. Canadians will always be able to choose what to listen to and to watch. Respecting freedom of expression, which is what we have in Canada instead of free speech, and journalistic independence, which is covered under freedom of expression. It protects that under that, are fundamental principles of the Broadcasting Act, which is true. The Broadcasting Act also makes sure that, going back to the CRTC, the Broadcasting Act also ensures that a specific amount of Canadian media is on our radio and a specific amount of Canadian media is on our televisions as well. This means that, yes, broadcasters can choose to have, for example, American shows or British shows on their airways, but they have to have a specific amount of Canadian content on there as well. One thing that I consider bad about the CRTC and the regulations that it has on our media is that every once in a while, if I'm on my way to the res, I will be forced to listen to Nickelback on the radio. I don't want to be forced to listen to Nickelback on the radio. Rip to anybody that likes Nickelback. Couldn't be me though. Now, are digital first creators and their content subject to regulations? Now, you might be asking, why is that on here? Well, there's a company called Digital First Canada that is responsible for a lot of the Bill C-11 misinformation that has gone out there. They have been asking creators and asking other people to push back against these regulations, saying that they will censor Canadians. So that's why they end up here on this part of the Canadian Q's and A's page for Bill C-11. Digital first creators have indicated that they do not wish to be subject to the Broadcasting Act. The Online Streaming Act seeks to respect their wishes, which, great, I love that. However, I find that stuff like this just further proves the legitimacy of the misinformation and, let's be real, disinformation that was pushed by Digital First Canada and this specific big platform here that I'm not going to name. Yes, this is also responsible for a lot of the things that happened here. Certain social media platforms, e.g., may not be required to contribute to supporting and promoting Canadian stories and music. Now, you might also be wondering why that's there as well. I'm going to get to it. I will get to it. As they sometimes act as substitutes for other broadcasters, including streaming services. However, only the social media service would have regulatory responsibilities, and only with respect to commercial content distributed on its service. Well, now remember when I mentioned that that big media company was responsible for a lot of the misinformation being spread about Bill C-11? Well, this is again, not saying names because I don't want this to get flagged or anything. This here is a video that was made by this big American corporation against Bill C-11. I am at a loss for words for this. Also, this guy here is a Canadian creator who has also made misinformation videos on his own account in regards to Bill C-11 and met with new CEO. So now I'm going to show you guys the video that came out on this guy's own channel about Bill C-11, where he actually talked to the CEO of the current CEO of.
It's the first bill of its kind that literally could have government regulators mandating or intervening in the type of content that Canadian citizens all over the country get and know and love about YouTube every time they open up the app.
Neil Mohan, Chief Product Officer at YouTube. Thanks for joining me.
It's great to be here with you, Brandon.
There's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot going on.
A lot going on in the world. We know what's.
Now, remember how I said he's the CEO? And this is going to talk about him as if he's the Chief Product Officer, the CPO of this corporation. However, he is now the CEO, as we've seen here. So he went from CPO, CEO of this company, successor to Susan. Rip. She was CEO when I was younger. Rip.
What's happening here in Canada with Bill C-11? We also have a lot changing in the creator economy when it comes to YouTube Shorts, for example. And so I want to just kind of dive right into it. And I want to talk about Bill C-11 first, because I know that's been moving its way through our democratic process here in Canada. What is the latest in terms of how YouTube is responding?
Yeah, so the latest, and I'm here meeting with policymakers, creators, obviously, that are going to be impacted by this, as you know. The latest is that I still have concerns about the inadvertent impact on creators, to their livelihoods, to the audiences that they're building, not just creators that will be deemed potentially losers by the regulator, but also the types of creators that the regulator was looking to support. I think all types of creators will be impacted pretty significantly, and so having those conversations with creators is part of why I'm here. But also, as you know, the bill has the potential to have a big impact on our viewers. It's the first bill of its kind that literally could have government regulators mandating or intervening in the type of content that Canadian citizens all over the country get and know and love about YouTube every time they open up the app. And so for those two concerns, both on the viewer side and on the creator side, I think it's really important for Canadians at large to have awareness about the detrimental effects of a bill like C-11.
You know, we've spoken to a lot of creators, and of course, they're afraid that potentially this bill could see the government change the algorithm, and that could hurt or impact their views and their sustainability when it comes to their lifestyle and what they've been able to create with their channels. We've also spoken with, you know, the Heritage Ministry, and we've asked them, like, what is your plan for this? And they continue to reaffirm that touching the algorithm isn't what they're looking at doing.
That's because that's not at all what they want to do with this bill. So, first off, I can't sit still, so I'm probably going to move around a lot during this. Secondly, basically what this does is it regulates the big media corporations and bigger companies that are featured on the big media corporations. It doesn't regulate users. Somebody who has 100 subscribers on this platform is not going to be regulated by this bill, okay? It doesn't change your algorithm. It doesn't change who you follow, what your searches are. But it does try to push more Canadian content out there. Again, not on this platform because of some finagling C-suite has done, but we will get there. We will get there. Now, speaking of finagling that the big media company has done, I wanted to direct some people's attention to some articles or blogs that the big media search engine, who owns the big media company that is also American, made and was presenting to this bill to Canadian creators. So here we are. This is as you can read there, that is titled A Note on Bill C-10, which was the bill before Bill C-11 that became Bill C-11, standing with Canadian creators and their fans. This was written by Jeanette Patel, the head of Canadian Government Affairs and Public Policy, big media company. This is an article that is going to be way too long for me to read, so I am going to be using their little reader tool thing here so that we can listen to what this big media corporation was saying about Bill C-10, which was the predecessor to Bill C-11.
YouTube is a place where we give creators a voice and show them the world. Canadian creators are no exception. In fact, the Canadian YouTube creator ecosystem is one of the most diverse and successful in the world. And it is no surprise to us that they have earned loyal fans from both at home and abroad. In fact, over 90% of watch time of Canadian content comes from viewers outside of Canada. Making sure that people can find and enjoy all of this quality Canadian content is a big priority for YouTube, and we support the goal of Bill C-10 to make sure Canadian creators and artists have a shot to be heard. However, we are deeply concerned about the possible unintended consequences that could negatively and unnecessarily impact the two communities we care about most, our creators and the millions of Canadians who use YouTube every day. YouTube gives Canadian creators a voice and shows them the world. At YouTube, we have built a platform on a foundation of openness, enabling a rich diversity of Canadian creators to express themselves and share their artistry with the world. The openness of YouTube provides the opportunity to find a niche among an audience of billions. This is particularly the case for diverse creators and artists who may not fit the mainstream mold. Aisha Harun, a Muslim beauty vlogger out of Scarborough, Molly Burke.
Scarborough, that's where I'm from. Sorry, I just had to do that. I'm a dork.
A blind fashion creator now based in LA, or ASAP Science, a duo of LGBTQ+ science educators, or Leah Wei, an Asian creator out of Montreal who vlogs in French, Mandarin, and English. All successful Canadian creators who would have likely been overlooked elsewhere but found their home on YouTube. How YouTube is supporting Canadian creators.
Now, this part is when they start lying and spreading the misinformation about this bill, okay? We're about to get into it. I love this me being sarcastic. I love the pink washing here. I wonder if the duo of LGBTQ plus science educators didn't want to be featured in this because they were probably smart enough to be against this, but who knows? Again, love the pink washing.
Creators' success is what makes our platform thrive, and we make substantial investments to specifically benefit Canadian creators and the Canadian creative ecosystem. For example, through our YouTube Partner Program, the majority of advertising revenue is shared directly with the creator. We also offer tools such as Super Chat, merch, and channel memberships for creators to grow and build their businesses. In addition, creators retain full ownership of their content and get analytics on how their fans are engaging with their channel. Canadians are flourishing on our platform, and we work to amplify the best of Canadian content, cultural moments, and rising talent. We work closely with media and entertainment industry partners such as the Canada Media Fund with Encore Plus, Just for Laughs, CBC, Radio Canada, Blue Ant Media, and more, to help them reach new domestic and global audiences. And to shine a light on up-and-coming talent, we launched Creator on the Rise a few years ago to give promising Canadian talent more local and global visibility to help them find their fans. Last year, we launched Artist on the Rise in Canada, which showcases a new music video from an emerging music artist to Canadian users every week. The discoverability debate. Today, Canadians know what they search for on YouTube will be the most relevant, helpful content to them. If someone is searching for Canadian content, we will show them Canadian content. And we'll continue to do so, especially if that person likes or engages with that content. But if a student is researching American history or someone is looking for the best way to fix a
I wonder why an American company would be talking about a student looking for American history. Like, Bill C-11 wouldn't block somebody from searching this type of stuff. It would just push Canadian content first. Not in place of this. So if you searched this in the search bar, you would only get this.
flat tire. We want to make sure they have access to the most relevant content for their needs. If Bill C-10 rules were to go into effect as currently written, people would be seeing suggestions not based on their personal preferences or even what is most relevant, but what the government decides is Canadian. The rules around what is considered Canadian content are complex, and it is very difficult to qualify. This stands to impact all creators, but we are especially concerned about the impact on new and emerging creators, as they will be up against players who have been following these rules for decades. We know that Canadians punch above their weight on YouTube, and their content is wildly successful everywhere. So, what happens when other countries follow suit, favoring their own local voices? This could mean our creators and stories get less reach around the world, impacting the businesses and livelihoods of thousands of entrepreneurs.
Now, this part in particular, I found to be the most, one, made up, and two, just the most odd, because it says, we know that Canadians push above their weight on YouTube and their content is widely successful everywhere. So, what happens when other countries follow suit, favoring their local voices? That would only impact them in their country. Just like how this bill only impacts Canada in our fucking country. Lord. Like, it's trying to fearmonger and make it seem like it's way worse than it is. Like, it's going to censor everybody. Like, it's going to make sure that no American content gets featured whatsoever. Which, by the way, The bill has been passed since 2024 now.
Entrepreneurial Canadians. Modernizing broadcasting for the digital age is a worthwhile goal. It should not come at the expense of Canadian creators or the millions of Canadians that use platforms like ours. YouTube is the place for Canadian creativity without compromise. Let's keep it that way.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. It gets worse. So, after Bill C-11, Bill C-10 didn't pass, and then Bill C-11, because there was an election in between when this bill and that bill were created, came through. That's when this big corporation, alongside this big corporation, because they're owned by the same thing, monopolies in America are huge, no different than in Canada. Let's be super real. We have 3 telecommunication companies that own literally everything. However, besides this video and this video, there were a lot more videos made about Bill C-11, spreading Bill C-11. We're going to be watching some videos about Bill C-11, but at first I wanted to watch this video here by the CBC about Bill C-11, what it is, will Bill C-11 help or hurt Canadian content? So we're going to get into it. We're going to watch it. So we are going to watch this video by the CBC about Bill C-11.
Hey, welcome to About That. I'm Kieran Outshorn, sitting in for Andrew Chang. And odds are you probably use at least one of these services. And today we're talking about something that could impact the kind of content they create and the kind of content you see. I'm talking about Bill C-11, the Online Streaming Act, and you may have heard of it. It's a bill that stands to update Canada's laws around broadcasting for the first time in the internet age. It calls for more regulations of streaming services here in Canada. Essentially, the argument is if you want Canadian eyes on your content, to pay subscriptions, to watch ads, then there needs to be more give and take. Because right now, foreign services like YouTube, Netflix, Spotify, and Disney+, they're all earning money in Canada, but they're not required to reinvest in Canadian content, meaning they're not obligated to fund productions in Canada or tell stories about Canada. But this bill, well, it would change that. So why are we talking about all of this right now? Well, Bill C-11 is well on its way to becoming law, and there's been some interesting developments. And while the bill has changed over time, there's still a lot of criticism, and we'll get to that. But in February, the bill, it passed third reading in the Senate, with the upper house tacking on 26 amendments, in particular around how the law will deal with user-generated content, or in other words, the stuff that people create on TikTok and YouTube every day.
Around this time, after February, in March, is when creators like Call Me Chris, Chazanian were starting to post Bill C-11 misinformation videos. However, there were other creators like JJ who had been posting about Bill C-11 since it was still known as Bill C-10.
The liberals don't want to hear the truth, and the truth
on TikTok.
Mr. Speaker, the liberals don't want to hear the truth
every day.
Mr. Speaker, the liberals don't want to hear the truth, and the truth is that conservatives are the ones standing up for digital first creator. It's conservatives who are standing up for free expression online so that new technology, new experiences can be used and explored not only here in Canada, but find success.
For any Americans watching, because I know Commonwealth TikTok is gonna know what this is. This is what a parliamentary system looks like in a country like Canada. This is basically where all of our MPs, all of our members of parliament get together for a question period, and they go into the House of Commons, and sorry, it feels dumb explaining this because it's common knowledge for people like Canadians. But this is where they go and they do question periods, and during question periods they stand up, they hoot and they holler on all sides. The Green Party, the NDP, the Liberal Party, and the Conservative Party are big contenders in this. They're the ones who are usually yapping at each other. You'll see clips of, for example, Pierre Poilievre calling people wacko in the House of Commons. This is something that happens because they're all in this room together and they're trying to bide for the most attention because one, this is filmed on C-SPAN, and two, our big media companies like CBC, for example, and other big media companies like CTV and others talk about this stuff on the news. So to get attention of the news, people like Pierre Polyev and this MP's whose name popped up here, but I don't remember anymore because I don't pay attention to the people like him, try to get their shot, try to get on the news by being loud and obnoxious, just like this. So I just wanted to get that little blurb out for the Americans out there and for anybody else who doesn't have a parliamentary government body like we do in Canada.
Around the globe.
So obviously there are a lot of people that could be affected by this. Now the bill is back over to the House of Commons right now, which is going to decide on which of those amendments they're going to be keeping and which ones they're not. Heritage Minister Pablo Rodriguez says he intends to reject several of the Senate's amendments that he says don't align with what he thinks is the spirit of the bill. Quote, as promised, we are accepting amendments that ensure tech giants pay their fair share towards our culture, and we are...
Pablo Rodriguez is a Quebec Liberal MP. He's the who is the Minister of Canadian Heritage.
Are declining the amendments that create loopholes. But it's still not clear how many of those amendments will be accepted or adjusted. So it's hard to say exactly how the content we watch could be affected. On top of that, much of the language of the bill is going to be left up to the CRTC to interpret. So another unknown that makes it tough to gauge how this could all end up. What we do have a good read on, though, is how this bill is being received.
Billion-dollar companies who have effectively been crashing on our cultural couch for almost a decade, paying nothing towards the structures and systems that allow Canadians to tell their own stories. With the adoption of Bill C-11, we as a country will finally send a long overdue notice to these foreign tech giants that their rent is due.
But the bill, it also has its critics.
The Liberals are actually changing what Canadians see online.
As you can see, more conservative MPs.
Without debate and behind closed doors. It is clear from expert testimony that this bill will allow CRTC to regulate user-generated content.
By this point, I think that most of my regular viewers are...
I'm gonna get to him in a moment. Boo, ew.
...are at least somewhat aware of Canada's Bill C-11 and are probably also aware that it is something that I am pretty firmly against.
Today I hope to teach the committee about Canada's vast YouTuber community and why so many of us fear Bill C-11, a bill we did not ask for, do not need, and threatens the success.
He, by the way, and I will be getting to this later on, was asked by the Conservative government to come and do this, to come and testify. Yep.
We've already achieved.
So here we have people on both sides of this argument. Advocates saying, hey, it's not fair. We're all creating content. Everyone should have to play by the same rules. Plus, this places a value on Canadian stories and the roles of Canadians in creating content. So that includes American productions that are done on Canadian soil. But on the other hand, the critics are saying, hey, not so...
Like, for example, all of the Avengers movies, most of the movies that you've seen, Umbrella Academy, what other shows? What other shows can I think of off the top of my head? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., not to go with the whole, like, Marvel thing, but if you look in a lot of American content, Canadians, I'm talking mostly to you, if you look at a lot of American content and see what they are filming in, like, usually the streets are Toronto's streets, and as somebody who is from Toronto, again, I said I'm from Scarborough, that's part of Toronto, it's part of the GTA. Umbrella Academy nerds. Do you recognize this? This, it's the TTC. Most of your favorite shows are filmed in fucking Toronto, okay? Most of your favorite movies are filmed in fucking Toronto. If they're not filmed in Toronto, they're filmed in BC, British Columbia. Okay? That's just how it goes. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I do know why. We have cheaper taxes for that kind of stuff than Americans do. And because of that, a lot of your favorite shows are made in Canada. And that's why a lot of bigger corporations, not including this one, are against these type of regulations, because they don't want to have to be regulated when they come up here. They want to be free to do whatever they want, because America is just the land of libertarians, apparently.
Fast. We shouldn't have to play by all the same rules because we're not playing the same game. They say the government is overreaching here and that no one should be telling them what they should create. And of course, up until now, no one really has. So, the question that we are posing today when it comes to Canadian content is, will more rules hurt or help? Let's get into a quick backstory here on what's at the heart of what we're talking about. The rules that all the traditional broadcasters have had to play for the past 55 years.
Moving on, we are going to look at some of the people who have been spreading misinformation about this bill. The number one person that I had been talking about for the longest time, the one that I made mostly part one about, was the Canadian creator Call Me Chris. So this is Call Me Chris's misinformation video about Bill C-11. In it, she says that she is scared of these regulations, that she thinks that these regulations are going to monitor and control Canadians and their content and their media and their search histories. And at the end, right here, she has a little blurb about Digital First Canada. Now, Digital First Canada, so remember this website here. Now, Digital First Canada. Who runs Digital First Canada? This guy here, Scott. Now, who sponsors Digital First Canada? Oh, the big media corporations. That's who sponsors Digital First Canada. And Digital First Canada was working with, in their Bill C-11 misinformation that they have. This is one that was written by the CEO, before he was CEO, obviously, but the CEO of this company, which is, you know, just spreading misinformation about Bill C-11 and saying that it's terrible and blah, 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 blah. But the one that I really want to get to is this one. An update Canada on the Online Streaming Act. It came out in July 22nd, 2022. It was written by Jeanette Patel, like the first one was, about Bill C-10. And for those who don't know, this is Jeanette Patel. Now, Jeanette Patel is the, like I said, the head of Canada Government Affairs and Public Policy for YT, if you catch my drift. And she has been posting not only this blog for Google, but Bill C-11 misinformation on Twitter as well, using the hashtag FixBillC11, like Call Me Chris and other Canadian creators who were working with Digital First Media. Not only were they posting stuff like this, or was she posting stuff like this, but she was also posting and reposting posts made by Digital First Media, or by Digital First Canada. This one also by Digital First Canada she reposted. And oh, look who that is. The CEO of YT reposting a Digital First Canada video talking about Pablo Rodriguez, the heritage minister, and bashing him, bashing Bill C-11, and also using the same hashtag. Damn, Digital First Media. Jennifer Valentine? I didn't know she was part of this. Oh god. Oh god, not Jennifer Valentine. She was on Breakfast Television, my favorite news morning show. No, not Jennifer. No! No! Okay, I have to watch this video now. I didn't actually watch this video before because I was just focused on, you know, the CEO of posting misinformation. Okay, now we have to watch this. Oh my god.
Oi! I met with Many social media content creators, Mr. Speaker, including YouTubers and other digital-first creators, and I heard their concern. And it was great conversation, Mr. Speaker, like they're amazing. They're all over the world. They're incredible, so creative, and I heard them. I heard them very clearly, and I will continue to listen to them.
Any form of discoverability mandates is going to negatively affect Canadian content creators.
They will hurt thousands of content creators.
Not Jennifer Valentine. No. No. I love you, Jennifer Valentine. Why would you do this? Why would you spread Bill C-11 misinformation on the internet? No, I loved you, girl. You were there for me every fucking snow day. No. This is actually crushing for me. Like, I'm about to age myself, but like early 2000s, watching breakfast television with my mom in the morning before school. You and Frankie Flowers. No! This breaks my heart.
Creators across our country.
I also worry that the dreams of the next generation
Boo!
of Canadian YouTubers will become less achievable once they're forced to navigate intimidating new regulatory hurdles.
Also, the fucking, the meow, 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 meow. This is my first time seeing this, so that's why I'm reacting so, like, you know. This is actually me reacting to this, but holy fuck. Meow, 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 meow. I hope it's not copyrighted. Meow, 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 meow. I can't. It's horribly funny.
We shouldn't have to apply to prove that we are Canadian enough.
Bill C-11 runs the very real risk of cutting us off from the world.
The side effects of
Oh my god. Not you too, Stuart Reynolds. No. I watched your YouTube videos and TikToks. I watched you on Vine. Other creators who I don't know will be on here were Simply Nailogical. I can't remember their names. I'm not gonna say them. And like a lot of other Canadian creators. I didn't know him. I saw that he made a comedy video, and I honestly thought that he was making fun of people who were making Bill C-11 misinformation, but damn it. Okay, I guess we're now gonna have to watch that too. Okay, so this is said video. I watched it and I literally thought he was like making fun of people who were making this is censorship videos, but apparently not. Oh lord.
$1.1 billion in 2021. 34,600 full-time jobs. That's how much of an impact digital-first content creators have had on Canada. Not bad.
Mind you, I should have probably known since he mentioned digital first. God damn it. That's on me. I had an autism moment there.
Bad for a bunch of cat videos. And those numbers, all just YouTube. Doesn't it?
By the way, he's referencing cat videos because in the bill, it mentions cat videos explicitly, which, don't get me wrong, I think is a bit petty too. However, goddamn. Goddamn.
Include TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, etc. In fact, Canadian YouTube channels making over $100,000 grew by 35% in 2021. Yeah, not bad for a bunch of cat videos. Sounds like a growing industry we should be protecting and nurturing here in Canada, right? Well, Bill C-11 wants to help Canadian content creators by encouraging Canadian content to be shown as priority. Sounds good for TV and such, but not so much on the internet.
Can you explain to me why that isn't priority? Oh my god, I can't believe he's actually... see, this is why I thought he was, like, making fun of people who were making Bill C-11 misinformation videos. I didn't realize this was a Bill C-11 misinformation video. Oh, and he's also in a podcast with Boots now. Boots, did you also make Bill C-11 misinformation video? Oh, I'm gonna have to go digging after this.
The platforms, YouTube, TikTok, etc., have said pretty explicitly that any attempt to mess with their discoverability algorithm will result in Canadian content being penalized if users don't want that content that is being pushed. If that sounds a bit like a mob-style threat, it kinda is, but our
See, and this is again why I thought it was a parody video. I'm so confused here.
platforms evil? Kinda, but only in the way that they're just businesses whose main goal is making money and keeping their customers, you, happy, so they can make more money. Canadian content online doesn't need to be forced on people. Canada makes great content. In fact, over...
It wasn't gonna force Canadian content people. It was gonna make it, you know, just... Anyways, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. And Jennifer Valentine. Good lord. Oi.
90% of the people who watch Canadian content on YouTube aren't even in Canada. We export good content. Side note, no one is paying me to make this video. Not TikTok, not YouTube, not the Crazy Town Banana Pants Party of Canada. But I will monetize it, because money. This bill affects what I do for a living and affects you as a viewer. Digital-first creators are bringing Canadian content and Canada to the world. They're also bringing money back home. That's worth investing in. Yep, pretty good for a bunch of cat videos. Sorry.
I didn't realize this was anti-C-11. Oh my god. I literally feel so fucking dumb right now. I literally feel so fucking dumb right now. Okay, we're gonna get back to this. We're gonna see who else is in this video.
The side effects of the law could break stuff, and that's what's scary.
If 4.2 goes in as it stands, that
Okay, I gotta find this muted because I can't with the cats. If there's anybody who I recognize that is a big creator who's against this bill, I will unmute it. But the meow 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 I can't. Sorry, I'm sick. That's why my nose sounds so weird. I'm dying laughing. Yeah, this was the person I was gonna mention, but I couldn't remember his name. Darcy and his partner were also making Bill C-11 misinformation videos. Ah! Not Stuart Reynolds again. I can't believe he's making videos with Boots now. I wonder if Boots knows that he was making Bill C-11 misinformation videos. I'm not big enough. I mean, I could probably ask him, but I'm not big enough to like really contact him. You know what I mean? Like I've talked to another couple creators about this, specifically JB. I've talked to no, not Jennifer Valentine. No. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I've talked to JB about this, and I was like asking him questions about videos that he did talking about Call Me Chris making misinformation videos, and asking him if I could use them, and blah blah blah. And okay, this part's showing the heritage minister again, so I should probably play that part. Meow 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 meow.
Duration.
The government has been extremely clear that we have no intention of regulating what people post online, and as some have claimed. And while I think that we have made this clear in C-11, I always said that I'm open to improving it.
Okay, I'm glad they covered the cats by the end. Meow 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 meow. I can't. Oh my god, I can't. This video has completely broken me. Jennifer Valentine, why? Anyways, back to this, which which was going to be the main focus of all of this.
Update. On June 21st, the House of Commons voted to pass the Online Streaming Act, Bill C-11, and send the bill to the Senate. While thousands of creators shared their concerns with the bill, they were not addressed through amendments to the text. It is possible to support Canadian artists without compromising the creator ecosystem, with modest adjustments to Bill C-11. We will continue to propose solutions and hope to work closely with the Senate towards this shared goal. For Canadian creators who'd like to share their concerns with their senators, you can reach out to them directly using this tool. Canadian viewers looking to share their concerns can visit Open Media. On May 31st, YouTube Canada shared testimony as part of the Standing Committee on.
So Open Media, like Digital First Canada, was an outside body probably funded by this big organization and the other organization that is part of this big organization's umbrella, spreading misinformation. So the reason why I wanted to show this, which was written by this lady, because this almost verbatim says the exact same things that Call Me Chris, JJ, and other creators were saying about Bill C-11 and the misinformation. Almost verbatim. It was like they read this blog from 2022 or were given a script with, points almost verbatim from this blog posted in 2022. I really just want to show how much these organizations are meddling in Canadian politics, and Canadian creators are verbatim repeating the talking points that they have created. How will Bill C-11 impact digital creators is the part that I was talking about before, where I was like, oh, this is the part that verbatim Canadian creators like Call Me Chris, Darcy, other creators, JJ in particular, were repeating basically verbatim that this Canadian person, the big corporation and the other big corporation, YT, wrote down. Almost verbatim, it is being used and being said by Canadian creators, which I will show later.
How will Bill C-11 impact digital creators? Based on the bill's current language, the CRTC would have the authority to determine how content appears on the platform, including the YouTube homepage and Watch Next section.
It literally says, this bill is not about censorship. It has no control over your feeds or what you do. This law will not control what Canadians can or cannot see online. Question number 7.
Apply CanCon rules requiring creators to prove that each individual video that they upload meets the complex legal definition of what is Canadian enough to qualify. This means...
This is something that almost verbatim JJ was saying on his account. He was going, well, actually, we can't have this stuff because it will control what Canadians want to see, and maybe I don't want to see Canadian content. Maybe I don't want to have to see anything about Canada that isn't tied to how great America is. I don't know why I made him sound like Ben Shapiro, but that's just how it rolled out. But seriously, that's what he was saying. That's even what he said when he was asked by the Conservative Party to testify against the bill.
Time and resource allocation for smaller creators, and gives an advantage to large Canadian media companies who have the resources to do so. Require artificial promotion of some creators over others based on CRTC priorities, which could impact how content reaches global audiences and hurt viewership and revenue.
The last point it's about to get to is what I think probably big corporations like YT and this one are the most upset about when it comes to Bill C-11.
Regulate the amount of time and type of advertising on creators' channels, limiting their abilities to earn advertising revenue.
Limiting their abilities or limiting your abilities? I feel like bigger corporations don't have to share more AdSense to Canadian users. And because of that, they got a little hissy fit and made it everybody else's problem. They also cite section 10(1)(d) of Bill C-11. Okay, so this is the actual bill, right? As you can see, the very long and unnecessary name. I scrolled all the way down to section 10. From what I can see, the French version of the act was replaced by the following. What the fuck does this mean? Okay, I don't speak French, even though I'm Canadian. I had an IEP. I didn't have to speak French. Which is really, really fucking me over now. Damn you, IEP! Alright. regarding the nature of advertising and airtime that may be devoted on it. Oh, so it did talk about ads. Okay. I couldn't find the previously, not revised version because I'm a dummy. But here's something that I was going to say for later that I am going to use just now. This, I believe, is a document sent by this corporation to the Parliament building, to the House of Commons, to the Canadian, whatever that building was that got broken into in Jan 6. It speaks about this corporation in the first person. This corporation is passionate about celebrating. See, this document goes into sections of the bill that talk about Canadians, creators, and how, people who have 550 followers aren't subjugated to this bill. All right, so I found it. This, like I said, is written by the big corporation. And if you hear any noises in the background, it's because my boyfriend came home. And right here, notably under section 10, 1D, and it has a little citation for 5, the regulator would have the authority to determine the amount of time and character of advertising on the platform like YT. YT advertising businesses bolstered by robust brand safety standards is central to our YT partner program, which allows YT creators to participate in advertising revenues. The majority of advertising revenue generated by a creator in the YT partner program goes to the creator. Does it? Does it? Does it? Big American corporation? Enabling the CRTC to have jurisdiction over advertising and the manner by the bill would have a direct, immediate effect on these creators' livelihoods. Would it, or would it have something to do with your livelihood? In terms of technology and content, open platforms differ from those conventional broadcasters, and provisions like this in the bill should recognize these important distinctions. And then, just this big corporation rewriting the bill. Rewriting the bill for Canada because these giant corporations have decided that our country isn't good enough to make its own regulation. Their greedy little American tentacles in there, like I said in my last video. Ooh, okay. So this is apparently what the section said prior to it being removed, prior to it now saying regulating the nature of advertising and the airtime that may be devoted to. A regulation made under section 1 may be made applicable to persons carrying on broadcasting undertakings or to all persons carrying on broadcasting undertakings of any class established by commission in the regulations. And then the blue part here is what it wants to change it to. Orders made under this section other than orders made under paragraph 1I or J do not apply in respect of online undertaking that does not own or exclusively licensed program. 5. Respecting the creator of advertising and the amount of broadcasting time that may be devoted to advertising. I say. And besides this one that is cited here, there are other sections too that YT, the big American corporation, wants to fiddle around with. This part here. Alternative approach. Lastly, as yet another alternative, an amendment could address both of the above issues related to application of broadcasting provisions on content in scope. So again, just big American corporations wanting to rewrite Canadian laws and bills. Section 4.1 in parentheses 3 and strike 4.2. Now, these ones, if I remember correctly, going back to the bill, are ones that I've previously talked about on my TikTok account. For the purposes of paragraph 4.12b, this is 4.21, the Commission may make regulations preceding programs in effect of this act applies in the manner that consists with freedom of expression, which is what we have in Canada. We have freedom of expression, not freedom of speech here. In making regulations under Section 1, the Commission shall consider the following. A, the extent to which a program uploaded to an online undertaking that provides a social media service directly or indirectly generates revenue. So, strike 4.2. 4.2 the fact that such a program has been broadcast in whole or in part by broadcasting undertaking that, one, is required to be carried on under a license or is required to be registered with the Commission but does not provide a social media service, and the fact that such a program has been assigned a unique identifier under an international standards system. I don't like that American companies are getting all up in our business. Okay, and then amendments to section 4.13. So going back, I'm just going to move this over here so it's a lot easier. So going back here, 3, exclusion. The regulations shall not prescribe a program in request of which neither the user of a social media service who uploads the program nor the owner or licensee of copyright in this program receives revenue, or that consists only of visual images. So this is part of the bill that I did go through prior when I was talking about Bill C-11 and how it impacts Canadians. This part here talks about how, it has to have a certain amount of English, French, and Indigenous languages broadcasted and used in these paragraphs, where it talks more about how it has to have both of Canada's official languages and Indigenous languages as well. So remember that section that we just read, this one here? This is what wants it to say. It continues saying, we urge members of Standing Committee on Canadian Heritage to amend C-11 and to adopt specific language to ensure open platforms are not regulated like conventional broadcasters, to strengthen limits on the CRTC's authority to mandate changes to algorithms, and to narrow provisions on scope to explicitly capture commercial music content and exclusive other forms of user-generated content from CRTC regulation. Digital first creators have indicated that they do not wish to be subject to the Broadcasting Act. The Online Streaming Act seeks to respect their wishes. Digital creators, like all individuals uploading content to social media services, are not covered by the bill. We urge members of the Standing Committee on Canadian Heritage to amend Bill C-11 and adopt specific language to ensure open platforms are not regulated like conventional broadcasters, to strengthen limits on the CRTC's authority to amend changes to algorithms, and narrow provisions on scope to explicitly capture commercial music content and exclude other forms of user-generated content from the CRTC's regulations. Certain social media platforms may be required to contribute to supporting and promoting Canadian stories and music, as they sometimes act as substitutes for other broadcasters, including streaming services. However, only these social media services would have regulatory responsibilities, and only with respect to commercial content distributed on its service. You might be like, oh, why are you freaking out so much? Well, during all of this and during all of this research that I did, guess who I found out is a lobbyist in Canada? Have you guessed this guy? Because he is. Registry of Lobbyists. Scott. Digital First Canada. God fucking damn. The call is coming from inside the house. So going back into Digital First Canada and the creators who worked for them, this is Call Me Chris's video where Digital First Media was also featured.
I am scared. I've been paying really close attention to Bill C-11, aka the Online Streaming Act. It's something my fellow Canadian creators should be paying attention to, and all of you.
JJ, big corporation who decided that they were going to make amendments to this bill. And as well, simply illogical, because of course she's on here.
All the viewers as well. Bill C-11 was supposed to be promoting Canadian storytelling online. In reality, the bill has ended up so broadly worded that it lets the CRTC interfere with every part of your online life. That includes manipulating your feeds and search results, requiring you to provide proof of your age to access platforms like Reddit and Twitter, and controlling your favorite YouTube channels, TikToks, and other streaming services, and even your own uploads. Earlier this month, the Canadian Senate passed Bill C-11 with a helpful amendment that better protects Canadian creators. But on March 7th, the government gave notice that it would reject this amendment that would protect digital creators. This is terrifying and honestly
Helpful amendments. Helpful amendments.
wild for the government to just ignore digital creators and its viewers. Luckily, there is still time to make an impact. I will put a link for you to click on to send in an already written letter to your local MP.
So again, Digital First Media. Now, if we go back to here, where it is the big corporation's blog post about an update to the YouTube Canada Online Streaming Act. If we go here, how can I get involved? We think it's important that the government hear directly from creators and viewers who will be impacted by this legislation. And now is the key time to have their voices heard. If this is something you'd like to learn about, here are a few resources. Creators. We're supporting Digital First Canada, literally written by this woman. Okay, this woman wrote this. Digital First Canada, an organization working to lift creators' voices. Visit here to learn more and add your voice to the conversation. Oh no, this page is gone, but look at where it goes to. Digital First Canada. All right, and then back to here. Viewers, sign the Open Media petition. Open Media, which is the organization that, oh, it's closed now, that JJ was working with closely. Now it is gone, but there was a petition there. Everyone, share your thoughts with these helpful assets. Also gone, because, yeah, so this is available, by the way. I will be leaving this link underneath this video, and I think it's absolutely insane. I think it is absolutely insane that these big corporations, especially American corporations, think that they can you know, just push around Canadian politicians. In the beginning of this, not just like the parts where they were literally rewriting the bill itself, it also mentions, which I found a little funny, Canadian megastars like Lily Singh, that girl from like a million years ago on YouTube who had her own show during COVID and then it completely flopped. Justin Bieber, who isn't even relevant anymore, Shawn Mendes, and The Weeknd all began their journey to global stardom, or superstardom, sorry, as individual creators on YT. And all of them successfully leverage YT's open platform to host their craft, grow their audience, and ultimately resonate with viewers all around the world. Something many say would have been very unlikely in the closed system of conventional broadcasting. And while not all Canadian YouTubers are household names, their stories are no less powerful. Roll down. Today, Canadian creators are thriving. Sure. In addition, our partnerships with traditional media companies and Canadian institutions have enabled Canadians to experience local culture of the past, present, and future. Today, Historica Canada's channel, one that I'm subscribed to because I'm obsessed with history. Like, okay, if you don't know what Historica Canada's channel is, or like what Historica Canada is, like I said, I'm literally subscribed to them. And they are the corporation that makes the Heritage Minutes, okay? And I'm going to show the one that every American knows. No, actually, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to show two that Americans might not even know and will shock them.
And he can lift anything. Anything at all. He's that strong.
Joe Schuster, will you stop it or you'll miss your train? Now help me find number 5.
Strong, but by day he's a mild-mannered reporter. Glasses, you know, a secret identity.
Honestly, you Canadian kids.
He'd be in this cape.
A what?
A cape. Wearing these blue tights.
A hero in tights, really. Here it is.
Listen, Lois, this guy is faster than anything, I swear.
If you're not fast, you're gonna miss your train.
That's it. A bullet. A bullet. He's faster. No, he's faster than a speeding bullet.
Come on, get on it. No one's gonna read a comic strip about a strong man in tights, Joe. It'll never fly.
Fly, no. But he can leap over tall buildings. Oh, wow, yeah.
See what your cousin Frank says in Toronto.
Wait, Lois. I've got something for you. Here, take it. It's a gift. You never know. It might be worth something someday. Is he great or what?
Yeah, Superman's Canadian. Or at least was invented by a Canadian. Alright, now the other one.
No, Frank, don't carry it. Dribble it. Dribble it. Frank, dribble it. Frank, shoot.
Is this some kind of Canadian joke, sir? I mean, I know you're the instructor and everything, but if we can't carry the ball, how can we get a decent shot at the peach basket?
All right. Maybe we can allow a carry of a couple of steps.
And Mr. Naismith, sir, it sure slows things down having to climb up here every time.
Well, then let's cut the bottom out of the basket.
Ah, but I need these baskets back.
100 years after James Naismith from Almont, Ontario invented it, basketball was being played by hundreds of millions of people around the world.
Yeah, basketball was also invented by a Canadian. So, if I didn't say before, Historica Canada is a organization that produces little history-based PSAs that talk about Canadian heritage and stuff. And I find it a little mean that they mentioned it in here, saying that Historica Canada's channel has over 28 million views, with an audience around the world learning about our history and our cultural zeitgeist. Yeah, and you don't want to give them fair pay because you want the Broadcasting Act to narrow the language of section 4.2, this one, and strengthen Section 9.18 to prevent regulatory impact to recommendation algorithms. This will allow Canadians to continue to receive their interests, not those of the government, on YT. Strengthening language will also ensure that Canadian creators can retain access to internal audience and continue to grow. It doesn't exist anymore. I wonder why. And then the broadcasting regulations of Section 9.1 and Section 10.1 should be applied narrowly and better reflect differing technology and business models. Such tailoring is necessary to ensure that open platforms are not subject to provisions that are more appropriately applied to leaner broadcasters. This again is them creating their own amendments to the bill. Online Streaming Act impacts and recommendations. Bill C-11 would grant Canadian Radio and Television Telecommunications, the CRTC, a wide range of power to regulate content on open platforms. This includes the authority to determine what content should be promoted to Canada, how that promotion should occur, what type of advertising should run against that content, and with what frequency and duration. Although the government has repeatedly stated that the bill will not enable the CRTC to regulate user-generated content, UGC, the chair of the CRTC has confirmed that, in fact, as constructed, there is a provision that will allow us to do it as required. The Canadian creator and viewer communities, it would set global precedents that would lead to barriers to entry in the international digital media markets for Canadian artists and storytellers. Okay, does it actually go to her channel? I'm curious.
I should explain. When I first started YouTube,
Huh, it does. Interesting. I didn't even know she still had a YouTube channel. Does it go to Justin Bieber's? It does. Okay, 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 okay. The Weeknd, who's also from Scarborough. That's probably gonna get me flagged. I'm gonna mute that. Damn. Also, at the end, it has an about YT part. As if reading all of this, you wouldn't know what YT was. The audacity, I swear. The audacity, I swear. To the Q&A part, it mentions certain social media platforms, e.g. YT, may not be required to contribute to supporting and promoting Canadian stories and music. Netflix does. Disney Plus does. They all have like a little Canada section. They all have a little section for Canada, and they're still functioning. Literally, all they would have to do is put like a section like up here. Like, see how well they have like music, podcast, news. They would just have to put a section that says Canada. They would just have to put a section that says Canada. And then that would cross the I's and dot the T's of this fucking bill. Just like they do on Disney Plus, just like they do on Netflix, just like they do on all the streaming platforms. God damn. Also, all of this is Canadian, but that's because I literally watch nothing but Canadian news on YouTube because I am a dork. So back to this. Promoting her store on a misinformation video? Oi. That's gross. Let's see who else has been spreading Bill C-11 misinformation.
Now what Bill C-11 has done, and this is unbelievable, I can't believe I read it correctly, it basically defined all internet content of any sort as subject to the same CRTC, Canadian Radio and Television. They've defined them as broadcasters that are equivalent, let's say, to CBC or CTV. Now, reading Bill C-11, which is an unbelievably vague document, if a internet service provider, a private one, so a small business person like me, let's say, doesn't broadcast in French.
Jordan Peterson is a small business broadcaster. Jordan Peterson is a small business broadcaster. As if... Alright, let's see who else is spreading Bill C-11 misinformation.
Dylan Sharp says, on the topic of censorship and having two Canadians in the House, can we get their thoughts on Bill C-11 and how it'll change media and how it could be a template for blue states to follow?
It's a template to turn Canada into a China or North Korea. It's the Bill C-11 in the absolute nuttiest of nuts.
Turned Canada into a China or North Korea. It's so ridiculous.
Shells is regulating the internet the way the government already regulates television and radio. So they want to subject. They said initially streaming and like big platforms online to be governed by the Canada Broadcast Act, which imposes Canadian content requirements, fines if you don't comply with it. They want to impose that on the internet to force YouTube and social media to suppress or promote content based on its Canadian content criteria.
Crazy how they're all repeating literally the same thing. I wonder why. Okay, besides Call Me Chris, besides Tim Cass, besides Jordan Peterson, guess who is also spreading Bill C-11 misinformation? Pierre Poilievre, the next potential Prime Minister of Canada. Ugh.
That talked of a grave threat to their industry. They said we are suffering from the ruinous competition of a rival who apparently works under conditions so far superior to our own for the production of light that he is flooding the domestic market with it at an incredibly low price. End quote. The quote from
You can tell this is pre-2024 Pierre because he still has his glasses on.
Frederick Bestia. And who was that competitor? Why, the sun! The sun was firing beams right through the windows of homes in French villages across the countryside. And this was providing daytime competition to the candle makers, who therefore did not have as much.
Now again, for anybody who's not Canadian, this is a parliamentary system, so the opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, is able to stand in front of all the other MPs, all the other members of parliament, and yap his little heart out and get these little sound bites and post them on his own YouTube account.
In profit as they would otherwise have absent this competition. So their solution was to ban windows, keep the light out. That way, they could sell more candles throughout the day, for use throughout the day, with less competition coming in from the outside world.
This is a politician, by the way, who literally thinks that electricians are like lightning benders, like firebenders who like do shit with lightning and like capture lightning from the sky and put it into cables. This is the man who doesn't know how electricians work. Oh, he might be our prime minister.
And that is exactly what we're getting from the large broadcasting and entertainment corporations, the oligopoly that dominated the voice of Canadians for far too long.
The oligopoly that dominated the voice of Canadians for far too long by making them primary in comparison to the ever so much louder American content.
Well, the window's open and we got the internet. See, what the internet did is it opened up competition. This is ironic because we hear today that the news media is in trouble. They're hemorrhaging jobs and opportunities. They say that the cultural sector.
Ironically, saying this for Bill C-11, but I'm literally going to be also talking about Bill C-18 soon too.
Is suffering. And what is the cause of this suffering? Well, the cost of marketing, production, and distribution has plummeted. You heard that right. Because costs have gone down, the industry is suddenly suffering. Actually, it's not suffering. News media has never been more vibrant and more alive than it is today. It's just not the establishment oligopolistic media that dominates the voice around Parliament Hill. Those voices are
He's talking about the CBC because he hates the CBC for some reason.
suffering. They're losing audiences because Canadians actually have choice for a change. For the longest time, the oligopoly in this country, controlled by Bell, Rogers, Shaw, which is now Chorus, and a few other powerful corporate players, were able to use their might regulator to ensure their dominance across the airwaves and into the homes of Canadians. They were able to use the large moat, that is to say, the difficulty getting into the market that comes from the fact that you used to have to produce paper and ink in order to send your product to homes. And now all of those things have been knocked down. The windows have been opened. People can enter the marketplace with very few barriers. And so those powerful oligopolistic corporations are trying to reinstate the barriers. In other words, they're trying to block the windows to keep the light and the fresh air out so that they can dominate the candle making, or in their case, the news and culture making business. They don't want more Canadian culture. What they want is more control over Canadian culture. And here we have across the way, on the one side, it's the corporations want economic control over news and culture, and on this side, the government wants political control over news and culture. And so you have this alliance of big government and big business ganging up on the customer, forcing through this legislation the customer to consume content they would not otherwise be interested in. You see, right now, the big tech.
Crazy how he's literally verbatim repeating creators like JJ and this organization. I wonder why.
Tech platforms are very simple. They're interested in making money. Let's be blunt about it. How do they do that? They feed people content that they want to see. That keeps them on the platform longer. And when this bill passes, those platforms will be interested in making money. And they will make just as much money because nothing in this bill shuts down Netflix or YouTube or Facebook or anyone else. They will still be the dominant platforms. What will change is that instead of having algorithms that give people things they want to see, there will be algorithms that give people things the government wants them to see. And the government will operate through the CRTC, a large, woke government agency.
Yeah, he literally called the CRTC woke. This man might be the prime minister of this fucking country soon. I want to sing that cat song again. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Content creators across our country.
I also worry
meow, meow.
That will manipulate algorithms to promote so-called Canadian content. What is Canadian content? Well, they can't tell us. They suggest, for example, that Canadian content is a CBC article that is...
Maybe Canadian content is content made by Canadians, Pierre? Context clues? No?
plagiarized in Washington about American politics. That would be an American-made story about American politics, but it would be Canadian content because it would be provided by the state broadcaster in Canada. But a single mother who produces a video about raising funds for her local kids' sports team, that would not be Canadian content because it would not be on the approved list that will be established by the CRTC.
Are they a Canadian sports team? Because if they're a Canadian sports team, it does count. Fuck me, prayer. Yeah, that's Pierre Poilievre for everybody here. Yeah, he's the potential next Prime Minister of Canada. Ew. Ew, ew, ew. So this is a post from the Conservative Party of Canada in regards to Bill C-11. The Liberals' online censorship bill, Bill C-11, will hand them the power to control what you see and say online. Where have I heard that before? Keep your feeds yours. Kill Bill C-11. And then conservative.ca/cp/online. I wonder if this still says that. Repel liberal censorship. Do you want the liberals deciding what you read and watch? National Post, December 13th, 2022. Damn. Oh, look how depressed Chrystia Freeland is. One also by the Conservative Party of Canada. Now, this one is also a video, probably the same one we just watched. The Liberals don't want more Canadian culture. They want more control over Canadian culture. Don't let them have it. Sign up to kill Bill C-11, and then another link to their page. Yeah, it's literally the same video we just watched. That's on Pure Pulliam's thing. Just with kill Bill C-11, keep the windows open. God damn, they're so annoying. They're so annoying. This is an MP from the Thousand Islands area, a Liberal MP named Mark Garrettson, and it says, let's set the record straight on Bill C-10 in 2 minutes. Watch. So this is back when Bill C-11 was Bill C-10. We're gonna watch this. It's only 2 minutes long.
I want to first make it very clear that this bill is not taking away your constitutional right of freedom of speech. In fact, as a constitutional right, it would be quite illegal for any government to try and take away or restrict that right. But, of course, that hasn't stopped the Conservative Party from trying to convince you the government would still like to do it anyways. So let's cut through the noise and get to the facts. What does C-10 attempt to do? It ensures the creation of Canadian content is reflective of Canadian society and accessible to all Canadians. What C-10 is not trying to do is regulate user-generated content. This means that the content that Canadians create and upload to social media will not be considered as programming under the Act.
What? But Per Polyev said it controls all media put on the YTs and the face palms and everything else.
So, when Conservative MPs like Michelle Rempel-Garner say things like,
in Canada, there is a bill in front of Parliament that is probably going to pass because of Justin Trudeau that would stop you from being able to post what you want on social media. That's Bill C-10.
It's untrue. Bill C-10 was never intended for this purpose, and quite frankly, it has been hijacked by this anti-free speech movement promoted by hyper-partisan politicians like Rempel. But just for absolute certainty, in an attempt to appease these concerns, further language will be inserted into the bill to provide maximum clarity around the issue. In fact, on May 3rd, Minister Guilbeault, who is responsible for this bill, released a statement that confirms what we all know about this bill. It says, we also want to make sure that the content that people upload on social media won't be considered as programming under the Act, and that it won't be regulated by the CRTC, and that is why we will be bringing forward another amendment that will make this crystal clear. So there you have it, Bill C-10 in a nutshell. The Act is about making sure that in a growing age of online content, the web giants that make huge profits are treated the same as traditional broadcast mediums like TV and radio.
Go here and see what she said about Bill C-11.
Bill C-11 ultimately will do two things. It will censor what we can see online because the government will dictate the content that is there. And secondly, Bill C-11 will determine the extent to which creators are allowed to thrive. In other words, the government will go through and pick winners and losers. Some content creators will be deemed Canadian enough, and other content creators just won't make the cut.
Wow, it really sounds like JJ verbatim was repeating this.
They'll be promoted. If they don't make the cut, they won't be promoted. There is nothing progressive
She's from Alberta, I'm not surprised.
about censorship. Nothing. There is nothing progressive about censorship. And that is exactly what this bill is about. It is about censoring Canadians and what they can see, what they can hear, and what they can post online. And it's about censoring artists and whether or not they have access to an audience and to what extent that access is granted.
or that's a conservative MP who's against the bill versus one that we showed who is for the bill, a liberal MP. Now let's go here. This same MP reposted a video by Perpolyev, probably the same one, let's be real. And okay, it doesn't look like the same one. Okay. And it says, Bill C-11 gives the liberal government the power to determine what you see, hear, and post online. Huh. That also sounds like something Call Me Chris said. Help us kill Bill C-11, sign the petition, and then the conservative website.
Is no culture without freedom of expression. Just to point out the disinformation from that member. He says all artists support this. Well, even Margaret Atwood, no conservative, has said that this bill represents creeping totalitarianism. Creeping totalitarianism. It gives the power to a woke agency, the CRTC, named by liberals.
He's calling the CRTC woke again. Come fucking on, Pierre. Come fucking on. America has ruined politics for the rest of the world literally forever.
To manipulate social media algorithms in order to shut down voices it does not want people to hear. When will this government realize that Orwell's 1984 was not an instruction manual?
Have you even read 1984, Pierre? God, I hate this moron. God, I hate this moron so. Alright, so this is another video by that same liberal MP who was talking about Bill C-11.
So I will say to Canadians that might have a concern, Mr. Speaker, saying, well, I don't know where to land on this. I don't know because I'm not getting all the information. Are the Liberals telling the truth? Are the Conservatives telling the truth? Who's really telling the truth? Well, I would say to them, Mr. Speaker, look at who supports this in this chamber. The Liberals support it. The NDP support it. The Separatist Party supports it. Can you imagine the Separatist Party going along with the government and cabinet to create algorithms?
Yeah, that's true. Just like how they also ironically support Canada First against Trump, who wants to annex us. Holy fuck, right?
Algorithms on what people could see in Quebec. It's probably the most ludicrous suggestion that is coming from conservatives, but they have no problem doing it.
Back to Jeanette thing. She posted this about Bill C-11. She also posted this video by Digital First Media against Bill C-11. And what else? Oh, this one here of JJ.
And then there was me. Now, I am not naive. I understand what I represented. I was invited by the Conservative Party to embarrass the government. They knew I was critical of this bill and wanted me to poke some holes in it because it was in their partisan interest to do so. But cynicism aside, I was also a representative of new media digital creators.
Okay, are you ready again? I'm not ready.
I also worry that the dreams of the next generation of Canadian YouTubers will become less achievable once they're forced to navigate intimidating new regulatory.
For those curious, here's what Darcy had to say.
I believe my business deserves legislative protection.
Thousands of Canadian small business.
Meow, 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 meow. Okay, so this is the CEO of YT, right? Meow, 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 meow. I think they just did that because of one part of the scene. Mentions cat video. Or it used to. Oh my god, okay. So again, this is the CEO. And if we scroll down, what is this? Oh, it's him with a bunch of creators. Ben Shapiro? Huh? Unexpected Daily Wire drop? I don't know who the rest of these people are. I mean, this guy I've seen clips of in other videos. He like interviews weird people. Why are they all wearing red things? Ahead of the inauguration this weekend. Oh, he went to the inauguration. We brought together a group of incoming officials of the next generation of media, podcasts, and political commentators who were a major force on YT this year. Well, honestly, considering the fact. This is concerning. This is concerning to me. I'm a Susan. Rip Susan. Rip Susan. Oi. Oi. Alright. Back to digital first media. Guess who digital first media follows? They follow JJ. Also, just to be funny, this is a Canadian YouTuber. Just move to America. You'd be so much happier. Like, why you gotta do Vancouver dirty like that? Just move to America. Obviously, you would be happier there. And then you can stop meddling in bills here in Canada. Alright, so that's it for Bill C-11. I hoped you learned something. I definitely did. I definitely learned that American companies can't keep their hands out of Canadian politics and are determined to make as much profits without paying Canadians anything, like most American corporations. Goddamn. Anyways, so that is my part 2 to Bill C-11. I hope you liked it. Like, subscribe, do all those weird things that creators ask you to do. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.